Randy, we'll go right to the phone callers. First up today, Ivan. He's listening in High Point, North Carolina. Hi, Ivan.
Hey, Hank, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
My question is about the 1,000-year reign, when the Lord has ruled for 1,000 years, and then they're going to loose the devil. If I don't understand it right, that everybody on the earth was a saint at the time. I must be wrong, because he's able to, the devil's supposed to turn loose and bring people against the Lord. I want to know the understanding of, is everybody on the earth a saint at the time, and then why is he going to loose the devil again?
Well, I think it's really important that the presuppositions that are part and parcel of the prologue to your question here are examined very clearly. The whole notion of 1,000-year semi-golden reign comes as a result, I believe, of an imposition on Revelation chapter 20. So I think first and foremost, it's incumbent upon Christians to learn the art and science of biblical interpretation, because if we do not, we're going to make nonsense out of the Bible. For example, if one were to take John's vision of golden bowls full of incense in a wooden literalistic fashion, we would render his communication nonsensical. What he communicates to us, and there is a clear example where he actually defines what he means by the metaphor, is that the golden bowls full of incense are the prayers of the saints. So we have to read the Bible in the sense in which it's intended. When you get to Revelation chapter 20, which is a highly symbolic chapter, you need to know the Old Testament, because then you'll have a grid by which to interpret it. If you do not, then you're going to again take it in a wooden literalistic fashion as opposed to the sense in which it's intended. Never forget that metaphors serve as magnifying glasses that illumine truth we would ordinarily miss. But if we try to take those metaphors and make them walk on all fours, we're going to have, again, a nonsensical interpretation of Scripture. And I think that's the problem, again, with what seems to be part and parcel of the question. We can't take the 1,000 years and make it a semi-golden age with rebuilt temple and reinstituted temple sacrifices, because then what you're going to have is you're going to have glorified people and people that are not glorified living in the same space-time continuum, and that for 1,000 years. And then at the end, you're going to have Gog and Magog to gather them for battle. In number, they're like the sand on the seashore. In other words, you're going to have the greatest apostasy in the history of humanity happening during temple sacrifice, during the time that Jesus appears a second time. This is the problem, again, with reading the Bible in a way that is completely inconsistent with itself. And the Reformers used to worry about this. They thought that if you put the Bible in the hands of the laity, you'd unleash the floodgate of iniquity. But the antidote to that was always learning to read Scripture in light of Scripture. So again, you have to look at your presuppositions. I've said this before on the show. The book of Revelation is 404 verses. 278 are direct allusions to Old Testament passages, and you have no hope of understanding what John is talking about unless you understand those passages. Again, look at 1,000 in light of Scripture, not only Old, but New Testament as well. You look at thousands as a round number. It's always used in a metaphorical sense. God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, or I'll increase your number 1,000 times. And I could give metaphorically 1,000 more examples from the Bible, but the idea is it's always taken in a metaphorical sense, and now you're in one of the most highly symbolic chapters in all of Scripture, and people want to take it in a wooden literalistic fashion, as though there's going to be a secret coming of Jesus Christ, and then a second coming of Jesus Christ, and then a semi-golden age that follows that, and then rebuilt temple, reinstituted temple sacrifices. Jesus is going to provide the reign over a temple in which he's being sacrificed again and again, all over again, and that for atonement for sin. If all of that is true, then his atonement on the cross becomes insufficient. So, drawn to its logical conclusion, these kinds of presuppositions end up in very murky waters.